Hey everybody, just doing a quick table update and shout out today. Got a little bit going on as far as with the musket and tomahawk stuff, and the shout out has a bit of a historical nature and even has some content that would relate to musket and tomahawks in sharp practice. And so first I wanted to just shout out Kent Galpin of the Paint Shack. Now I will put a link below to Kent's channel. Just been watching Kent's channel, fairly recent, last couple months I would say, and has really good stuff going on. He is a commission painter and he has a lot on his channel, so that's really cool because you get to see a lot of stuff that goes across his desk. One of the videos in particular that I really liked is he also worked on a project for Steve Jackson. I think it's Steve Jackson, Lord of the Rings. They commissioned a large army where a whole bunch of people like painted miniatures, and like it was like 5,000 miniatures or something to create like a huge display on a table of a historical battle. And they showed like in the video pictures of him as well, and it was just really cool. Like in general, I thought it was really impressive. And what Kent is doing, though, that relates some of the content on my channel, is that he has actually been painting some saga miniatures, so I've really been enjoying that. But then also he had some, I believe it was 40mm, it was a larger scale of American War of Independence, and so I'll show that, a little bit of that in the top right hand corner, and you can see he does beautiful work. So in particular, for whatever you like, whether it's more fictional content or the historical, take a look at his channel if you think that you'd be interested in that, and I'm sure he'd appreciate it because he's actually been doing a lot on his channel, a lot of activity, and I think he's been just interacting quite a bit with his subscribers, so I think it'd be great to for him to get a few more subs and just people to find out that he's doing all this. Now, I also have just a little update. I figure I'll show some of my musket and tomahawk stuff I'm working on. I'm still early days on my two projects that I've got, but in particular, I was talking about the how I was going to go for a blue house, and I showed just my base painted blue the other day, but I didn't show sort of the finish that I started to get after I applied some multiple layers of color and a blue wash. So, I don't have the brick at all painted yet, but I like this sort of variation, this gradation that I'm getting on the blue house. I thought it was really cool. What I did end up doing was what I said I was originally, and I started out with Coat d'Arms Wizard Blue, and then I used the High Elf Blue, which is really powerful. I had to keep that thin or else it really stands out too much. But I looked at two washes that came with the fantasy set of Coat d'Arms, and I wasn't sure which ones I was going to use. And I've never worked with the washes from Coat d'Arms before, but I had an ink blue wash, or ink wash blue is what it says, and I had a super wash. Now, without actually doing a complete review of these, you can see in the bottom a little bit of the color. Like this one is clearly darker. This one is really light. After looking at this, because I wasn't sure, like this I don't think would have actually even showed up on my building. I really think this will be good for situations where you have white and you're kind of trying to create a bit of a frost look, and you have undertones of blue through your white, or if you're utilizing that technique of the blue for the shadows within white. I think this would work really well. I have some ideas on a future project where I was kind of looking at maybe having components that were white with that look, so I immediately put this on the side near that project, so it was good to kind of check it out. It's not going to work for this, but I think it will work well for something in the future. Now this one here, for those of you that might be familiar, it looks kind of like Asserman blue in some ways. It's a bit of a rich, vibrant blue wash, but it's more of a wash than Asserman blue, which is kind of a bit more like a glaze to me. However, I compared this to the GW Draken something Nightshade. What is it? Take a look here, just so I get it right. Drakenhof Nightshade. Drakenhof Nightshade is a lot darker than this, and so actually this one is what I used, and I diluted it about 1:1 with water, and I did a couple of applications on this with 1:1 water, and it worked really well. the Drakenhof Nightshade is almost black. I mean, it's that dark of a blue, and it was much darker than this. Even though this looks dark, it's nothing compared to Drakenhof Nightshade side by side. This is a vibrant blue when it comes out. So, that's that. And I did start working on my musket and tomahawks, my natives, I should say, for Sharps Practice musket and tomahawks. I really just got the first base paint of skin on. What I do, if I was doing something like Apaches, I would probably go for this kind of tone. It's a bit more reddish, darker, but I will be lightening these up considerably with the skin. I have earlier videos where I've talked about this from years ago with musket and tomahawks, but I use game color in this case, is what I've used historically. And I do a 50-50 for my first shade of tan and dwarf skin to get this color that you see here. And then what I'll do is after I do a wash of probably like Agrax Earthshade and get some darkening of the details, I will go over it again, the raised surfaces, with really like 2-to-1 dwarf skin and tan rather than 1-to-1. And then from there I'll do another highlight where I'll do 2 of dwarf skin, 1 of tan, and then a half of Averland Sunset, the yellow from GW. And that gives a bit of a different tone to it that I get for my natives. So yeah, I also have these guys as well in the canoe that I've started painting up as well. I just spent a session working on eyes on all of them, so I've painted their eyes. Some of them have, like one of the miniatures has virtually no eyes. It's just really eyelids, you know, because he's kind of squinting. That's what it looks like. But for some of them are actually, you know, have pretty nice ability to paint the eyes as compared to others, so it's just varies a bit. But just trying to think, like this one I think did. But I would say that eyes are a bit of the bane of my existence with certain models. I do appreciate though that they make the miniature look a lot more lifelike, and so I have gone through and painted all of them. And I'm doing them at this stage before I get to have to do all my highlights on the skin, because I don't want to be redoing that work again. So, yeah. So that is it at the moment. I'm heading into work this weekend, so for me this is kind of like Sunday, because I'm working this weekend. I'm going in, so I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the day, maybe get a little bit more done, and then heading into work tomorrow. And I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Take care.